Hell yeah.
I'd say if the question was who's the best looking, I'd say the guy that sits in the middle.
Well, I can tell you right now, you look like you're from Hawaii, so I think
We're just trying to have fun out here, and our idiot kicker got liquored up.
Yeah, holiday world for me because I'm not tall enough to ride the roller coasters at Kings Island.
Hell yeah.
Stay in school, kids, so you don't end up like me. They say challenging.
He's a dog.
Had number 2 had Lose Yourself by Eminem.
Okay.
Mom's
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Mom's spaghetti.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, he discuss. And if you like him, that tells me a lot about you.
I was in the gas station today, and a sweet old lady did say hello to me, and I think she was into me.
Question.
We'll get a little bit more serious here. Bigfoot, I know you're out there, and I'm coming for you.
7 Nation Army by the White Stripes.
Number 3. Without chicken.
If you've ever heard a rumor about me, it's definitely true.
Hey, Jonathan, you want to come back to the horseshoe?
Perfect.
I can't even think of it.
I don't even know.
Got it.
I'll look it up
Here, no,
after
how's
this.
it going? How's it going?
I'm not gonna sing with you guys. 'Cause I'm just too good. I'd break glass or something like that, so I don't want to show off.
There's so much class. Long neck, I stole beer, never broke my heart. I think it's That's a good one.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Coaches from the Couch podcast. We like to talk sports. We like to play games. And we do our best to have a good time around here. We got some new t-shirts out. You guys should check those out. Leave a like, subscribe. It really helps us keep up the support. What do we have going on today, Carson, for news?
We're just going to be talking about our fantasy football league. So that was a couple weeks ago. We talked about it on the show right before. And then first, let's go ahead and introduce Jake back to the CFTC headquarters. Jake, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good. How are you all?
Oh, not too bad. Getting ready for this Colts game that starts at 8 o'clock. Can't wait for that. I think Anthony Richardson's going to throw for 200 yards in the first quarter, and then he's going to teach the Philadelphia Eagles who the new beast is this year.
There's some fights at practice earlier in the week, right?
Since I can legally bet now, so I went ahead and took a bet on the over in that game just to give a little incentive for watching it.
Okay, took the over in the bet. Okay. Is that actually your first bet, first legal bet? Let's say.
So it's my second. I went ahead and put a bet on the Reds game last night.
Okay, cha-ching.
And then now, like I said, I bet on the over here. It's always fun to just. I didn't really know who to actually bet to win, just because it's the preseason. It's always fun to you want to see points scored, right? So,
exactly.
That's why I took the over.
Nice. All right, so Jaden, you want to get us into the first segment?
What's first, you think? Just
the fantasy football.
Oh, talk about the draft?
Yeah, that's what we're here to do.
Yeah, so I actually have the draft board pulled up here. I thought the draft went really pretty well for all three of us. When we put in the teams into NFL.com, they actually have a roster value projector, and the three of us were actually the three top projected value teams.
If you want to, you can go ahead and say who is number 1 and who's number 2 and who's number 3, if you would like to.
You can do that.
So I believe in order, it actually went Jake was third, Jaden, you were second, and I believe I was first. Can you confirm?
That's what it says on the sheet, but
okay. I just wanted to make sure that you can confirm.
Can't really trust the numbers nowadays.
Yeah, Carson, you're really taking this preseason win. You're really taking it to your head, man. Unfortunately, nothing matters until the season actually starts.
And then so far so good with the fantasy squad. A lot of injuries been popping off because we did our draft early. So our draft was actually scheduled. I have it written down over here. August 12th was our draft. So as you guys know, it's August 24th. So that was 12 days ago, almost 2 weeks ago. And, since then, there's been a lot of injuries, a lot of contract situation stuff. So a lot of stuff going on, it could affect your team. The way we looked at it is a lot of our friends are in college, so we had to do the draft early before everyone left. But I thought it was a good draft. We changed the format up this year. We talked about it a little bit on the show. Changed the format up a little bit. We added our starter spot to another receiver spot. So we have a quarterback, two running backs, 3 receivers, a tight end, a flex as a running back, wide receiver, or tight end, and then a kicker and a defense. And so that is our starting squads. And then we have, is it 7 bench spots, I believe? So 17 roster spots for a 14-team league. You do the math, that's a lot of players, and I had to type in all those single players on a draft board. So it was a fun draft, though. I think this was year 8 or year 9.
I don't know.
I think it's year 8, year 9 of the league. But we just keep growing, keep getting better, and then it's even better when you get the preseason rankings that all 3 of the CFTC members are 1, 2, 3. So that always looks good too.
Yeah, until your guy tears his ACL week 1, and then you realize it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah. So I'm curious to know. So go ahead and give me a rundown. We kind of posted our team. So do you have your team?
Yeah.
Jake, go ahead and name. So name your team since you have the draft board pulled up. Name your team, and then go to Jacob's or mine, and then say our teams.
All right. Mike, you want me to just say starters?
Yeah, that's fine.
So my team, we're looking at the quarterback position. We got Trevor Lawrence. My running backs, we got Bijan Robinson and David Montgomery. I'm a big Bijan guy. I wanted to make sure I went out and got him. At the receivers, I have Jalen Waddle, Chris Olave, and Drake London. 3 younger guys there. At tight end, I have Evan Ingram to pair with Trevor Lawrence. And at my flex spot, I have Jackson Smith and Jigba. Those are my starters.
All right, and then you want to move on to Jacob's or my team?
Yeah, Carson.
And then just say our one player at a time, and then we can kind of talk why we did it and why we think he's going to be good and all that good stuff.
So you want me to do that on my team then, or no? Just move on.
Huh? You can do what you want. I don't really care what you
Well, I just ran through my team. You said you wanted to talk player by player.
You can do that.
So.
I was just telling you what I was going to do. You can do what you want.
How about we say the lineups afterwards, and maybe after that we talk about kind of like the strategy of what we were going in to do, players we were wanting to get, and if we got those guys, and then we can talk about our lineups.
I'm cool with whatever.
All right.
Let's
just say Carson's team first. Carson's team consists of
the best team.
That's what he thinks.
Preseason ranked 1.
Deshaun Watson at the quarterback. Running backs, Jonathan Taylor, who is a big topic of the show lately. DeAndre Swift, the new Eagles running back. Wide receivers is where I think his real strong point of his team is. He has Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams at the 1 and 2 receiver position. That's pretty strong for a 14-team league.
State draft, that's 2 first-round picks.
I think Devontae Adams is a second-round pick. No.
And 14-team league?
A lot of them, yeah, actually. Michael Pittman as his 3rd receiver, and then he has David Njoku at the tight end, Brandon Cooks rounding out that flex spot.
And then let's move on to Jake's.
Jacob's team consists of... Where's this team on here? Okay, here we go. He has Aaron Rodgers, the new Jets quarterback, at the helm. At his running backs, he has Josh Jacobs, Javonte Williams. At the receivers, he has Amon-Ra St. Brown, who was a guy that I was really trying to get, but he just paid the price for him. I didn't want to go that high. Jacob did, so he got him. That's his receiver 1. His receivers 2 and 3 are Terry McLaurin and DeAndre Hopkins. At tight end, he's got Pat Freiermuth, and at flex, he has Gabe Davis.
All right.
So do you kind of want to tell us, Carson? I'll ask you first, and we'll kind of move around. Going into this year's draft, did you have a real strategy or maybe some guys that you wanted to make sure you went out and got?
So we actually planned on, we talked about actually filming the draft in person to kind of just go over, so you could see, how we draft and stuff. And it'd been a fun time. But maybe it's something we do next year, we get more used to the technology side of the podcast. But, going into the draft, I knew I wanted, I wanted Jonathan Taylor. I mean, I got Jonathan Taylor last year. I spent $48 on Jonathan Taylor. It was a little sickening getting a player for that much and not panning out.
That's almost half your budget, because I don't know if we said it's a
Yeah.
$100 budget. And
Yeah.
You spent almost half of that on Jonathan
Yeah,
Taylor.
and you got to have a dollar player, and we had 16 players last year. This year we have 17, or we had 15 last year, 16 or 17 this year. So I went out and I got Jonathan Taylor, I believe, for $19 this year. Obviously, there's contract issues, a lot of stuff going on right now. We've talked about. But I just think, like, I wanted Jonathan Taylor. I think he's due for a bounce-back year. He's coming on a contract year where he wants paid. So I thought that was a big thing. Yes, do I want to see him on the horseshoe? We've talked about yes. But at the end of the day, I think he will be back in fantasy. I don't know. Who knows what his week 1 status is? But I'm looking for the down the road, because you didn't mention my other running backs. I have Zeke and A.J. Dillon and DeAndre Swift. So I have a bunch of flexible options until Jonathan Taylor gets healthy, contract situation. So that's why I was planning ahead.
Can I say something about that real quick too, Jonathan Taylor? I personally, a lot of people I've seen in the fantasy world are kind of hesitant to take that chance on Jonathan Taylor, which is understandable, right? You know, if he's going to be a guy that sits out whenever he gets hurt, or we don't think he's going to hold out, but I guess you could certainly rule that as a possibility. But the way I kind of see it, especially in a 14-team league, only one of these 14 teams is going to win the championship. So you're going to be you're not trying to play it safe. You're trying to go big or go home.
So your odds are already slim. I mean, what's a percent of 1 in 14?
I'm not good at math, but that's pretty low percentage.
Yeah.
1 divided by 14.
Yeah, what is that?
That would be about 7% chance.
So you have a 7% chance to win. So anytime you can get a guy that's been an MVP candidate as a running back for $19,
and you're getting a discount on them too.
Yeah,
You're not
for
paying full
$19,
price because
exactly.
people are
So,
scared.
I think it's a good risk, and that's why I went going in. That was the only guy going into the draft I wanted. I hinted Cooper Kupp, and I ended up getting him, but he wasn't a guy going into the draft that I wanted. Like, okay, I wanted Jonathan Taylor, and I was fortunate enough to get Jonathan Taylor for 19. Got Cooper Kupp for a fair price. I got Devontae Adams for a good price. So I think it'd be. So you want to go over our starters of how much we got for them? Like just I mean, you can even say the dollar players. Just the starters that you just mentioned.
Yeah, so
What I get Deshaun for? And
you got Deshaun for $3, which in my opinion, he's a guy that's pretty close to those top tier quarterbacks, and he could even pass him up if he takes another
Exactly.
leap. I mean, this is a guy we've seen play quarterback at the elite level. You got him for $3. When guys like Herbert, I see here, went for 12.
And then
So-
obviously they didn't get, like, people on the show or watching this didn't get to see the draft. So like he was the only quarterback out there that stayed out there for a long time on the draft board. It's an auction draft,
Yeah.
and so like he did not get nominated till a very long time down the draft. And so everybody already had a quarterback at that time. So I was able to get Deshaun Watson for $3, which he's right after that Trevor Lawrence drop off. So it goes pretty much the top 7, Deshaun Watson, and then everybody else, pretty much. So I got that middle-of-the-pack quarterback who has a capability of being that top-caliber quarterback, and that's why I really like Deshaun Watson this year.
Moving on from that, you got Jonathan Taylor for $19.
We
Which,
talked about that.
I mean, ideally that's a good price. If he plays the full season, absolute steal.
It'll be
Am I
the
right?
steal of the draft if he ends up playing this year 100% healthy.
But definitely brings on a lot of risk.
Exactly.
But like we already talked about, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for upside in fantasy football.
Yeah.
So you got DeAndre Swift for $5, which in my eyes, that's another pretty good buy.
I'll say he was one of those guys I was surprised I got for $5. He's actually my most drafted underdog player in underdog fantasy. Going into the league, going into this year, Swift going to the Eagles. I feel like I think he's literally just a better. I think he's a better Miles Sanders. You got to put this situation like DeAndre Swift was on the Lions. Lions were a good team last year, but they weren't no Philadelphia Eagles. I think Miles Sanders was gifted a lot just by how good his team was.
And my thoughts on Swift, I'm not a huge Swift guy, just because I think he's a big part of his game is the receiving game. And he was a guy, when he got those catches on Detroit last year, he was a first-round pick last year in fantasy in 12-team leagues. So that's a pretty valuable player. I mean, he's obviously going over to a better team in the Eagles. I'm just not so sure how Jalen Hurts complements him as a guy that likes to scramble. I'm not so sure how many of those passes he's going to get. but it should be a lot more of an efficient running game. I mean, like you said, $5.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely a chance that you want to be taking. So I actually really like that value you got there. Moving on to your next guy, you got Cooper Kupp for $28. I'd say that's probably about at value.
That's
for
an
him.
at value. I had a price on him, like a range of, and he fell right into my range, and I wasn't going another dollar. So I forget who I was bidding with in our league, but I remember it was down to two people, me and the other person. He backed out last second, and I got him for 28 because I was definitely not going 30. I didn't want to go 30 on anybody this year since I spent so much on Jonathan Taylor the year before. So I got Cooper Kupp for 28. Another guy, if he's healthy, I mean, I think everybody like this dude can be better than Justin Jefferson if he's healthy.
I mean, and he was.
And that's what I'm saying. If he's healthy,
when he's healthy, he's like one of the best fantasy players of all time. I mean, yeah, unbelievable player if he can stay on the field. Your next guy was Devontae Adams for 23.
and I think that's the one getting overlooked a lot. This dude's 20 in our league. I remember Garrett Wilson, second-year receiver. So like, don't get me wrong, Garrett Wilson's gonna most likely be good this year. But Devontae Adams has shown time and time again he's good.
And quarterback proof.
Whoever, yeah, I would say. Well, and it doesn't even matter who his quarterback is. He's always been good. Even when Rodgers was hurt. Even when who was his quarterback? Carr last year. Whoever his quarterback is, he's always been good. So I feel like for $23, he's in most drafts he's been a first-round pick, high second-round pick, and I got him for 23. Garrett Wilson went for $24 in our league. So I count that as a big dub. I got Devontae Adams cheaper than Garrett Wilson.
Your next player, Michael Pittman for $4.
I don't think I need to say anything on this. This dude's a number one receiver, and he went for $4 in a 14-team league on a three receiver league for $4.
And it was at that point of the draft where you waited a long time, and everybody else was kind of out of money, so you just got to go out and get your guy for a good price. But moving on, you got David Njoku for $3 at tight end to pair with Deshaun Watson. I'm a big fan of stacking, and I'm a big Njoku guy. I really like that pick.
Yeah, and I remember going into the draft, I wanted Njoku because I was hinting Deshaun Watson. He was one of my targets because I didn't want to spend too much at quarterback position. In my league, they spend a lot more on quarterbacks. To be fair, though, rightfully so, it is a 6-point touchdown league, so that does give an advantage. But and running always helps too. Deshaun Watson is kind of that mixture of both. He throws a lot of passes, and he also can run the ball. So I think Deshaun Watson, David Njoku combo will be really good this year.
And some other guys, we'll just kind of list them in a row, like some other mentionable guys. You got Brandon Cooks for $2. You got A.J. Dillon for $4.
Steal.
Quentin Johnston for $1.
Steal. That's probably my biggest steal.
And newly signed Patriot Ezekiel Elliott for $1.
Steal.
He thinks every guy's a steal, but he did get good value.
Kadarius Toney, how much did I get him for? Chiefs number one receiver.
Yeah, I wouldn't call any receiver on the Chiefs a number one, me personally.
On the depth chart, he's number one.
I don't know how much that means, but yeah, you got him for $1.
Steal.
I'm not a big Toney guy, as you can tell.
All right.
You want to move on to Jake's team?
Jake, your team up next. Kind of go through your picks. Who's going to say the player?
All right, first up on Jacob's team, you got Aaron Rodgers for $6. That seems to be your guy. Am I right there?
That was the guy I wasn't leaving the draft about. I genuinely believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to have an MVP season. Now, if this wasn't Carson's league, if this is Joe Schmo's league with normal scoring, I would never be as high on Aaron Rodgers as I am. But if a passing touchdown is worth 6 points, that makes him just as equal. Maybe not. I guess not just as equal as like a Justin Fields or a Lamar. But it definitely makes him a lot comparable. And if he has the MVP season, I think he's going to have, because I think he has a lot to prove this season. That was the guy I was not leaving the draft about.
Yeah, and for those people that don't understand about the quarterback position, that's why we keep touching on. I got Deshaun Watson, and I think that's important, is because in my league it's 6 points, like we said, but the average league is 4-point touchdowns, passing touchdowns. So you're getting 2 extra points on passing touchdowns. So that's for a guy that's thrown a lot of touchdowns in his career with a lot of targets on the New York Jets. That's what Jake is referring to.
Yeah, and if you're out there doubting Aaron Rodgers' ability to win MVP, he's won it 2 out of the last 3 seasons. So certainly not a bad bet to make.
Exactly.
In my opinion. Going down the list, you got Josh Jacobs for 20, kind of in the same vein as what Carson did going after Jonathan Taylor. What do you have to say about that, Jacob?
He kind of fell into my hands. I didn't go to the draft saying I need Josh Jacobs. I don't know if anybody was going to the draft saying they need Josh Jacobs. Got an insane amount of volume last year, which is a little bit scary. But, I mean, my thought process was Josh Jacobs for $20. If he gets 300 carries again, and I was confident he's going to play. I don't think anybody's going to hold out through the season. He kind of just fell into my hands at $20. I'll take RB1, top 3 upside, maybe top 1 upside if he has the same season as last year for $20.
Yeah, and then I want to touch on that too. Like a big thing for Josh Jacobs he has going for him is not only is he getting he had the year he did last year. Think about that. He had the best running back year last year. He's getting even a better game manager this year. A big running quarterback, not running quarterback, but he likes to run the ball. He likes to hand the ball off. He likes to win games. Likes to waste time. Jimmy Garoppolo wins games, and he knows how to do it. So I think Jimmy G is going to even help Josh Jacobs.
And another thing, I'm sorry to cut you off, Jade. Another thing about Josh Jacobs, honestly, underrated receiving upside. Very underrated receiving upside.
Oh yeah, especially how much Jimmy G just likes. Like I said, he likes to play small ball.
And they like to run that screen. They love those screen passes.
Mm-hmm.
So I like Josh Jacobs' chances there.
Your next guy, you got Javonte Williams for $5.
Again, going along in the same vein, and you'll notice kind of this story for me a lot tonight. Talking about my team fell into my hands. It was way towards the end of the draft. I was leading the league in money, or at least way up there in money to spend, or maximum money I could spend on a player. And Javonte Williams come up, and I knew it was my time to strike. So I got Javonte Williams for $5. Thrilled, absolutely elated with Javonte Williams for $5.
Yeah, Javonte, that's one guy I was not big on your team. This is just my personal opinion. He's coming off too gruesome of an injury. Granted, though, it is $5, so it's not like the end of the world. It's a good risk. Kind of like one of those high-risk players. I just wasn't big on him. But for $5, I don't think it's a bad price.
Well, and the thing is, and absolutely, Carson, I kind of felt the same way, right? The exact same way you are. I got Samaje Perine for insurance.
Exactly.
So, and I think Samaje
nice
Perine, he could be an RB1, like in the NFL, not obviously in fantasy, but in the NFL, he could be an RB1.
Yeah.
So I like that insurance for Javonte.
When you saw it last year, too, with Samaje Perine filling in for Joe Mixon those couple games, I actually had him on my team last year. Averaged over 20 points a game when Joe Mixon was out. So, and now he's going over to a Sean Payton offense. He could be pretty good for you.
He's obviously, you don't expect him to average 20, but he's a really solid running back. As far as between the tackles, outside the tackles, receiving, he could be, he's a good running back, a really good running back.
I agree.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I agree with Carson. It's a gruesome injury because he didn't just tear his ACL. He tore some other things too. And the data on that shows a pretty long recovery to reach 100%. So it could be one of those things where, Javonte might not be full strength to start the season. So that's where you put Samaje in there. And then going down the stretch, going into the fantasy playoffs, maybe Javonte Williams gets his legs back under him. And I think that's certainly what you want for a $5 player. But moving on, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, who I mentioned you kind of stole from me. He was probably one of my top guys that I really, really wanted, but I wasn't willing to pay the price, and you were.
Absolutely, I paid $25 for him. I wanted to go. So I had I did a lot of homework for this draft, and I had a limit for every single player that I was willing to spend, and my limit was actually 23 for Amon-Ra. But as we got in there in the draft, I noticed that players were going for a little bit higher than all my limit said, right? Anywhere from $2 to $5 more than my maximum limit said. And, Amon-Ra probably went about a little bit before the middle of the draft. So I was at the point where I was like, you know what, I can't stick to this book anymore. If I want a guy, I got to go get him. And I made sure that I got Amon-Ra. I think he has a really good shot to be a wide receiver 1 this year.
Yeah, I think, and to touch on that, it's this dude is great value brand Cooper Kupp. I mean, granted he's probably better than that, but you get what I'm saying. He is literally the Cooper Kupp of the Detroit Lions, just not as good, obviously. Mm-hmm. But this dude has shown that he can be a very elite touch receiver. Like, he needs touches and he gets them. He reminds me a lot of Julian Edelman and Cooper Kupp mixed. I feel like he has both of them together. I think Amon-Ra set to have a good year. Jared Goff, Detroit Lions. That team's gonna be good this year.
I think he's a guy that could find the end zone a lot more. That was kind of what I was thinking with Amon-Ra. While I'm so on him, is because last year you kind of just had a fluke year with how the Lions had such a good offense, but Jamal Williams got 13 touchdowns at the goal line last year, which is just kind of a thing that I don't think can be repeatable, and I think we can expect a couple of those touchdowns to go towards Amon-Ra as the main target in that offense. And now, especially since you pull T.J. Hawkinson and Jamison Williams, who's suspended, away from this offense, Amon-Ra's the only guy. So it's going to be him and Gibbs, I think, catching the most balls for them. I'm really high on Amon-Ra. Your next guy is Terry McLaurin, who you paid 10 for, who unfortunately just came down with a turf toe injury. What do you have to say about him?
So a little bit unfortunate there with Terry getting the turf toe, but I really liked him at $10. He's a very good receiver. He's amassed 900 yards in every year of his career. He gets a lot of deep targets, and I think that this is his most confident quarterback play since he's been in the league. With Sam Howell, I do believe in Sam Howell. I think he can be a mid-level quarterback in the NFL. So. I'm happy with Terry for $10. I probably would have liked him at about $8. But again, kind of fitting that same vein, I had a little bit of money to spend, and 3 receivers, you can't afford to have a weak link there.
Yeah, wide receivers, it's just, you simply can't let them pass up. You have to. In a league where you're going to be starting, most teams, 4 receivers, you have to go out and get somebody. You can't be just sitting there with Rondale Moore and DJ Chark in your receiver spots. You got to pay money at some point, and I think a lot of us paid either at value or a little bit over value just to assure that those receiver spots. So I can't really blame you there. Your next guy was DeAndre Hopkins, who you got for $7.
This is my favorite pick of the draft. I think a lot of people forgot what DeAndre Hopkins is all about. And you may say, okay, this offense he's in is terrible. This is the same offense that supported A.J. Brown as a top receiver, and this is the same DeAndre Hopkins that's had terrible quarterback play his entire career, except for Kyler Murray the last couple of years, who would just throw it up to him. But even when Kyler Murray's been out, DeAndre Hopkins will get 15 targets a game from anybody, any quarterback that's throwing to him. So I was elated to get DeAndre Hopkins at that price.
Yeah, I remember it only came down to me and you for DeAndre Hopkins. It was actually a $1 battle. Like I said 6, you got him for 7. It was one of those players. I said on the show I'm not a big fan of DeAndre Hopkins to the Titans. I'm not. But granted, for that value, DeAndre Hopkins, he's gonna put. You know what I mean? To be your, what was it? Was this your 3rd receiver?
Yeah, wide receiver 3.
So like that's what he would have been for me because I had Adams and Cooper Kupp at the time, so I was looking at it as a wide receiver 3 spot. Like that, I just sit here and laugh thinking about it. Like wide receiver 3, DeAndre Hopkins. Like, you know what I mean? Like you just sit there and like, yeah, it's good. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right, and you can probably tell. I'm sorry, Jade. You can probably tell. The listeners can probably tell. All 3 of us, me, Carson, and Jade, we all look at fantasy football the exact same. Take any downside that you have in fantasy and throw it the F out the window, right?
Yeah.
The thing that wins you leagues is upside. That's what wins you leagues. And that's why I have Terry McLaurin, who has insane upside. He has downside also. Some are questioning his quarterback play. I like it, right? DeAndre Hopkins, he has wide receiver 1 upside, right? His downside is his age, and not at a very productive offense. I also have Gabe Davis. He didn't have the season he was supposed to have last year, but also great upside. So take any downside you have. The way the 3 of us look at it, take any downside you have and just throw it out the window.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. Like, especially with, as low as 7% is. Like, you have a 7% chance to win the league, so you got to get all the upside you can to give that percent even higher. And especially the way this league works, I know, like, say you come out of the draft with one of the worst teams. It's still not over, though, as much as our league trades. Our league has a trade, I feel like. We probably have, during season, a trade, 3 to 5 trades a week.
Which is pretty crazy.
That's insane.
I mean, we
In
literally have
fantasy
to have a
football.
committee. We're the committee, us three.
Yeah.
We have to review the trades just to make sure nothing gets out of line because so much is going on. We don't want the league to get kind of skewed or rigged. So yeah, we kind of watch the trades. But your next guy up, Pat Fryermuth, you paid $5 for at tight end. I feel like that's a pretty solid value. What do you have to say about him?
Yeah, you know, I didn't go into this draft saying I need Pat Fryermuth. I had a couple other ideas. I really liked Irv Smith this season. I liked a couple other guys, but you know, with going to a 3-wide receiver league, it's diminished the tight end position a little bit. Not too much. You know, having good tight end, having Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews is still a huge advantage, but it has diminished it enough for me to be able to settle for $5 from Booth. And I just hope, you know, again, upside, right? I hope he can be a target hog, and I hope he can be a red zone hog.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing I was thinking about. In a 3-receiver league, I'm thinking, you know, I don't really want my top guy to be a tight end because that's just not how I want to construct my roster. So I just like to throw, you know, $4 or $5 on a tight end that could maybe have top 5 upside. Tight ends have been irrelevant the past couple years in fantasy outside of Travis Kelce, pretty much. So yeah, it's kind of like just punt the position, really. Take your shot. That's all it is. Your next guy though is Gabe Davis, who's actually a guy I really like this year. He was a guy last year who was pushed up into like the 4th round of drafts. People are just going crazy over this guy. And now he's really kind of fallen off that value a little bit. And I actually really like him where he's going now because he had a lot of injuries last year. And I think he's really the same player, same scenario this year, but at a cheaper price tag. So I really like Gabe Davis this year.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. Oh, I'm sorry, Carson. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. How much did I pay for Gabe Davis?
$5.
$5. Yeah, that's exactly why I had Gabe Davis on my team.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say I had Gabe Davis last year. He's a little bit more safer this year of a pick. Last year he's more of a boom bust guy. He was either a big touchdown or nothing. This year I think he's gonna be a lot more safe. I think you know he's the wide receiver 2 for sure. I mean last year he was kind of fighting for that spot, but this year it's more like, you know what I mean, it's just him. It's just him and Diggs. They bring in Kincaid, but. Everybody, like, you know, they're talking up Kincaid, but I still got to see Josh Allen throw to a tight end. Yes, he threw to Dawson Knox quite a little bit, but it wasn't very much. I feel like he only threw it to him like 2 to 3 times a game. I know they're 2 different type of tight ends, so I don't think that hurts Gabe at all. So I think it's literally still going to be the Diggs and Gabe Davis show, and Josh Allen running the ball.
Gabe Davis is literally the epitome of a best ball player, in my mind. Like, if you're drafting in best ball, I pick up Gabe Davis so often. He's one of my most drafted players. But yeah, that rounds out your team. We kind of went through that, and that leaves me next. I paid my starting off at my quarterback. I paid $9 for Trevor Lawrence, which is probably a little bit high for him. But he was just kind of the last guy on the tier, which is kind of a thing you don't want to do. But I really believe in Trevor Lawrence. He's in his 3rd year in the NFL. Guys like Dak, you know, Joe Burrow, guys in that year 3 tend to take that jump, and that's what I think is going to happen, especially bringing in Calvin Ridley, who can kind of open up that deep area of the field for him. So yeah, I took that risk, and I paid $9 for him, which is actually $3 cheaper than Justin Herbert, which was the guy I really wanted, but I did not want to pay $12 for him, so I kind of just settled for Trevor Lawrence.
It makes me feel good that I got Deshaun for.
Yeah, because there's not a big gap between Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence.
It made me, because I think I was in on Lawrence to start, because once it got up to like $5, I hopped out. I think I said 4, and 4, you know, he was a little higher than Watson. I got Watson for 3, I think it was. That's what made me feel real confident in Deshaun Watson's ability, because he ain't very far off, and he has still that upside to be a top 3 quarterback in the league, like he was. So that's where I feel like, yes, Trevor Lawrence probably is the better quarterback going into the season, but I feel like upside, I think they're about the same upside.
Yeah, and that's a good argument too. The way I was looking at it was I wanted to get one of those top 7, top 8 quarterbacks. Lawrence was my cutoff. I tried to get Burrow, I tried to get Herbert, but I just couldn't get him for the right price. And I was hoping that maybe I could get Lawrence for $6 or $7, but that just didn't happen. so I kind of had to overpay for him. I had enough money at the time, so I went ahead and pulled the trigger there. Moving on to my next guy, I paid $27 for Bijan Robinson, who's a guy that I'm super high on. I mean, I've already talked about it so many times on this show. That Falcons offense, that Arthur Smith run game turned Cordero Patterson and Tyler Algier into one of the most unstoppable running attacks in the league. And now you get probably the best running back prospect since Saquon Barkley coming into that offense.
Or Jonathan Taylor.
I just think that's number one upside, number one overall fantasy player upside, and that's a risk I want to be taking. So I have him in my eyes. I view him in the same tier as McCaffrey and Eckler, and I got him cheaper than those guys. So I take that as a win in my book.
See, and I think you're insane for saying just what you just said.
That he's in the same tier.
Bijan's in the same as Christian McCaffrey. See, I find that mind blowing, but that's your opinion. I don't see Bijan in that category. I do see Bijan obviously as a top 10 back. I think he easily is that if he stays healthy. Obviously, that's anybody. I think, but yes, Bijan is in a good spot. I don't know if he's Christian McCaffrey tier yet, but I think he is a top 10 running back.
I think the thing for Bijan Robinson is we all know he's going to be good. The question is how good, right? How often is he going to get used? That's going to play a factor in it. How often is he going to receive the football in our half PPR league? That's going to play a factor in it. And then is he going to play all three downs? I think that those are three mitigating factors that really depend on how good Bijan will be. But we do know that he's going to be good.
So yeah, my scary thing for him is like you got Bijan obviously as the one. Algier's going to be the touchdown. Obviously, he's the big power back.
I don't think so.
You don't think
No, he
Algier
won't
plays?
get every. He might get a couple sprinkled, maybe one.
I'm
or
saying
two,
though,
or
like I'm
three.
saying 5 yards in, he's the power back.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think they keep.
I
Bijan
think
in there.
I think if it's first and goal, second and goal, I think Algier inside the 5, he's taking it. Third down, maybe not, but Cordell Patterson, you'll probably see him a lot in third down situations. So it's just I feel like because like you said, it's worked. It turned Algier and Cordell Patterson into one of the top duos. So do you think Artie Smith just goes away from it and just says, I know you have Bijan Robinson, but like you don't think he plays them at all?
I'm sure he will. I'm sure they will have some role. But you're talking about a team. I know they talked about they want to pass a little bit more, but this team runs the ball more than anybody in the National Football League, and I don't expect that to change. So yeah, I think there's room for Patterson and Algier to both get work, and still.
I'm gonna be honest. I think we're seeing the swan song of Cordero Patterson. I think that he's actually going to be phased out of the offense. I think it's going to be Tyler Algier and Bijan.
He's been in some trade rumors as well. But either way, I think this is a team that's going to run the ball 400 times, maybe more than that.
The other thing is, man, it is hard to get new toys and not use them.
Yeah, I mean, you use the 8th overall pick on a running back. Usually that trends up to you're going to use that guy. Looking back in the past to guys like Leonard Fournette, Ezekiel Elliott, all guys that had huge rookie seasons. And I feel like it's something that this might be the cheapest you can get Bijan Robinson for the next 5 years. I mean, possibly.
Yeah, definitely could be, yeah.
So, I don't know. It's just a chance I wanted to take, and yeah, that was my guy. And I went out and got him. We took a lot of time on him. We'll move on from that.
You got Jaden? That's a back I like on your team.
Say that again.
The next running back that Jaden got, I really like that pick.
All right.
David Montgomery. My strategy going into this draft was I wanted to be kind of heavier on receiver. I wanted to be a balanced team. I wanted the weakest position on my team to be that RB2 spot. I feel like in 3 receiver leagues, that's usually the best strategy to go after, kind of a hero RB approach, they call it. So yeah, I kind of just had some leftover money, and David Montgomery is a guy that I really like. He's going to be taking over for that Jamal Williams role that saw 13 goal line touchdowns last year. I don't think Jahmyr Gibbs is any threat to take the goal line away from him this year for sure, just with how small he is. So I really like that pick for $5 for me.
I think it's a good pick.
I agree.
I got 2 kind of similar receivers. They go back-to-back in most rankings, 11 and 12 ranked receivers, Jalen Waddle and Chris Olave. They're actually not guys I'm super high on, but I felt like I kind of just got the value to fall to me. Like I said, Amon-Ra was above my price range. A lot of the other guys were a little bit too expensive for me, so I decided 17 and 16 for Olave and Waddle is not too bad. And then this is my favorite pick, I think, out of the whole draft was I got Drake London for $3. I mean, I know they don't pass a whole lot, but when they do pass, I think it's going to be going to him. You can maybe believe in Kyle Pitts, but I'd give the upper hand to Drake London, me personally. And for $3, I think that's a great pickup.
So yeah, I remember I actually nominated him. I put 2 on him, and me and you were the only ones that bid on him.
Yeah, everybody was out of money.
So, going into it, it was more. I'm not big on Drake London. I'm not. I nominated him for $2 because me and you were ahead. So I didn't know if I would be able to get another number 1 receiver, kind of like the Michael Pittman situation. Like I was going into it's like, can I get a Drake London for $2 and then throw him on my bench? You know what I mean? That's what I was looking at. And then next thing you went, and I knew you had money too. I had at this point I had 3 receivers already set with Pittman, Adams, and Cooper Kupp, and I believe I also had Kadarius Toney at the time. So like I already had 4 receivers. So I didn't really want to move into another one because I didn't know how much you would bid up on him. So I didn't want to keep in a bidding war. So I just went ahead and gave him.
With the money that I had, I remember I was going to be willing to go up to $7 with him actually.
Yeah. So I'm glad I got out.
So I was pleased to get him for $3, because at that point I think I already had Jordan Addison, which I was fine with him being my wide receiver 3 if it had to be, just with the volume that he's projected to get this year. But yeah, Drake London was a guy that I was stoked to get for $3. I thought he should have went for way more than that, but that's just what happens in a 14-team league. Some values just fall to you. Just my last 2 guys we don't have to take too long on. I took the chance on Jackson Smith-Njigba for $3, who unfortunately broke his wrist, but hopefully he can be back by week 2 or 3 and have a good stretch. And Evan Ingram, I paired him up with Trevor Lawrence to kind of stack, kind of similar to what you did with Deshaun Watson and David Njoku. I'm not a huge Evan Ingram guy, but I wanted to stack somebody with Trevor Lawrence, so that kind of explains that. And yeah, that's my starting roster.
And like kind of like what you just said, like I did, like with Njoku and Watson. I just feel like it's the cheapest stack you can do. And like when Amari Cooper already went off the board he was before Deshaun, so I didn't know I had Deshaun yet. So going into it, it's like I couldn't get him. So like at that point it goes to like Elijah Moore, which he was already gone too. So like it just came down to it. I needed a tight end. Going into it, Njoku is one of my targets. So then it just kind of matched up perfect. It's like, okay, I want Njoku and Deshaun Watson. So that's what I kind of did. I think it's the best stack you can do, a cheaper stack.
Yeah, and I think that's all of our rosters, right?
Yep. So you want to take a quick break, and then we're going to do one game, and then we're going to do final words. So it'll be a shorter episode today, and then we'll kind of recap real fast, real quick after the game. We'll recap everything real quick, and then we'll do final words, and we'll get out of here.
Yep.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
Alrighty. Take a quick break.
right, we are back from our short break. We got a fun game today.
It is game time. All right, go ahead.
I'm kind of scared about this game, to be honest with you.
It's something different.
I've been out of school for a little bit, but kind of in the spirit of the back to school. A lot of you guys probably went back to college, or if you're older, your kids probably went back to school this week. So we're going to be playing Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Which I remember watching that growing up. It was always a funny show. They brought adults on and asked them fifth grade questions, and a lot of them were not smarter than the fifth graders in a lot of cases. So we're going to be answering some of those questions to see if we're smarter than a fifth grader. I say I'm probably not, but I guess I'll go first. I'm going to be asking Carson some questions.
So are you going to go, so we all have 5 questions?
Yep, we all have 5 questions.
You're going to give me one, I give him one? Are we going in like a triangle here, or are we going to go?
We'll probably go all 5 questions for you, and then next.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you all 5 of the questions.
I think we should do one at a time.
Well, I wanted to see how many we got right out of 5 and score it, and then we go to the next person. I feel like that'd be better.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. Your first question, Carson.
Okay.
Can you tell me what is the state capital of California?
So, do I only get one guess, or do I kind of keep guessing until I just
You only get one guess.
Do they have a basketball team?
They do.
So we get one hint. That's my hint.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is a trick question, though.
Depends on who you ask.
Why do I want to say it's... Oh. Alright. For some reason, I feel like it's not Los Angeles, so I'm saying Sacramento.
It is Sacramento.
Let's go!
1 for 1.
Let's go! What do you think about that, Jake?
I thought it was really, really good.
Did you know that?
I did.
You don't have to rub it in. You're a
You asked me. I'm not rubbing anything.
You're a geologist. Alright.
I answered. Oh.
Isn't that what that is? Geologist?
Nope. They do rocks.
Oh. Yeah. What is that? Wait, what is
I don't even know.
What?
I thought it's like geography.
What are you talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah. Well.
Okay, whatever.
Moving on.
Moving on.
All right,
I got it right.
Your next question is, if the Nile River is the longest river in the world, what is the second longest river in the world?
Amazon.
That is correct.
Let's go! Alright. I get a little excited. What? Moving on.
Your question number 3 is, how many inches are in 2 yards?
How many inches are in 2 yards? 24.
In 2 yards? 24? Do you know how long a yard is?
Hang on. So wait. 3 feet equal 1 yard. So 36. Okay, so it'd be 36 times 2. That would be 72?
That is correct.
Jeez, this kid's a wizard.
Yeah.
Maybe you were thinking feet at first.
I was thinking
there are
feet.
24 inches in 2 feet.
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking feet. I thought you said feet.
Yeah, I thought you maybe just got confused there.
Huge pop.
So basically I'm 3 for 3.
All right, your next question is kind of oddly similar to something that we just mentioned, but is, what do you call a person who studies fossils?
Fossils? No way a 5th grader knows this. No way.
It was in the question book.
Fossils?
Yep.
What would you call a fossil finder? A treasurer. I don't know. That's a random guess.
A paleontologist was the answer. Paleontologist.
Okay, well, I'm glad. Okay, I would never got that.
I think I wanted to be one of those for a couple of years.
Well, you're weird.
I think it's normal. All right, your 5th and final question. Mr. Barger will be very disappointed in you if you get this one wrong, probably.
Oh boy.
What is the name given to the first 10 amendments of the Constitution?
What is the first name?
Now, what is the name given to the first 10 amendments of the Constitution?
What is the name of the bill? Is that the Bill of Rights?
That is correct. It is called the Bill of Rights.
All right.
You threw out a wild guess, but somehow I got it right.
Okay, that's all.
So how many you get? You
Well,
got?
you don't need to take a wild guess to guess what the Bill of Rights is.
Yeah.
All I gotta say is I got an 80%.
You got 4 out of 5.
I got an 80%. I passed. I passed with a B minus. So that is all I care.
So you got
That's
4
true.
out of 5.
Bees get degrees. You ever hear about that?
That's what they say.
That's how they say it. All right. So Jake, you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready, bro.
Okay. Question 1. What is the capital of Pennsylvania?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Well, it's not Pittsburgh. Let's go Philadelphia.
Wrong. Harrisburg.
Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
I didn't know that either, honestly.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
All right. The Great Barrier Reef is off the coast of what country?
Australia. That's a continent too, by the way, just so you know.
Oh yeah.
It's both. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a country. It's a country too.
Yeah. Okay.
Australia.
Okay. 1 for 2.
1 for 2.
Yeah.
How many ounces are in a pound? Uh-oh.
Now I'm bad at. Whoa, what?
What?
I'm bad at this. Wait, ounces? Wasn't that liquid measurement?
No.
No.
That'd be liquid
Oh.
ounces. Or
Yeah.
fluid ounces, whatever it's called.
Oh, I have no clue. I have no idea.
So think of a water bottle.
Yeah.
Think of a
How
water
many ounces?
Like, you should be able to read one if you have one around. That should give you an
That's a
idea.
heck of a hint, I'll say.
Yeah.
16.
Hello! Ding, 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 ding. Isn't that a water bottle?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow,
I still can't do measurements. That's what
I'm so smart with water bottles. Alright.
Yeah.
Who painted Starry Night?
Starry Night. Let's go Vincent Van Gogh for 500, sir.
And he has one ear. Yes.
Nice.
Hell yeah. 1 ear.
3 for 4.
Alright, and
You
then
want to hear a little story about Vincent Van Gogh?
I don't know, do I?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Somebody once told him, somebody said, you only have 1 ear. You know what Vincent Van Gogh said?
He didn't hear it,
What?
did he?
I didn't hear you.
I was gonna say what? You have 2? Oh, but okay.
What? I didn't hear you.
Okay.
Next.
Alright. Who are the 4 presidents on Mount Rushmore? Uh-oh.
Give me George Washington,
Ding, ding,
Thomas
ding.
Jefferson,
Ding, ding, ding.
Abe Lincoln,
Ding, ding, ding.
and Donald J. Trump.
I
Oh.
Little off.
Give me, actually, I don't know the 4th one. I don't know the 4th one.
don't know if I know it either.
Maybe John Adams?
So this guy, he did, I'm trying to think what he did. He did something that I know.
He's in the, what's that Ben Stiller movie called? The Night of the Museum.
He is in the Night of
He's in the Night of the Museum.
So so far I have Thomas Jefferson, Abe Lincoln, George Washington.
Yep. He's... Hang on, I gotta mute you first. I gotta mute you for a second. Is he on the $100 bill? Who's on the $100 bill?
Benjamin Franklin,
Dang.
I believe. 'Cause
Yeah, that's right. Alright, never mind. I was wrong. I thought he was on the $100 bill. Wrong guy.
James Madison?
Didn't he do some with cars?
Theodore
Maybe.
Roosevelt?
Bing! Let's go!
Yeah, that was a tougher
Teddy
one, I
Roosevelt
think.
made it on there? He was the first president to ever appear on TV.
What did he did something with cars. I know he did.
I don't know.
Anyways.
Check it, I'm telling you.
We need to phone Mr. Barger.
Yeah. Alright, so Jake, he went 4 for 5.
Yeah, that puts the
4 for
pressure
5.
on me.
80%, that's a B.
Pennsylvania.
I would take the under on me. I would take the under on me getting 4.
4.5. 4.5 is your over under.
I'm taking the
Alrighty.
under.
Alright, Jaden, first things first. Capital of South Carolina.
Charleston? Or is it
Nope.
Columbia? Is it Columbia?
Columbia. Do we take it, Carson? Do we accept it?
Take
Hey,
it.
you said 24 inches first, so.
Yeah, take it.
Yeah. Yep, Colombia. All right, next. What continent is this country on? Zimbabwe.
Africa?
Correct.
2 for 2.
Alrighty. How many centimeters are in a meter?
Oh, no. 100?
Correct.
3.
3
All
for
right,
3?
this is going to get tough. I got a couple of history ones for you.
I'm bad at
Alright.
history.
The second president of the United States of America.
Oh, I know it.
Is it John Adams?
No.
Correct.
Oh.
It is John Adams?
I thought it was Andrew.
Jackson?
Yeah.
Andrew Jackson? Nope.
What
John
was
Adams.
what was he? I gotta look this up.
He was the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Was he the vice president?
Probably at some point, I'm sure. Anyways,
Yeah.
all right. This final question, Jaden. Okay, this is a tough one. Which was the first state of the United States of America?
Is it Delaware?
Correct. 5 for 5.
Hey, I shouldn't have took the under on myself. That's the pessimist in me. I thought I was going to do worse than I did. I wish it was like that in high school. Usually when I thought I was going to do bad, I did do bad, but that's growth, fellas, you know? I'm getting better.
Hey, just a little update. Sorry to go off track. I just saw Anthony Richardson run 4 RPOs. We just ran one at the touchdown in the end zone, baby. Colts are winning the Super Bowl.
So Colts just scored?
Colts just scored, dude.
Anthony Richardson just scored?
No, Deion Jackson scored. But Anthony Richardson threw for about 40 yards on that drive. All RPOs.
So Anthony Richardson is like better than Patrick Mahomes already?
And he's on my fantasy team. That's the craziest part. I got him, boys.
I mean, so he might be passing this guy up right here. Like, you don't see what I'm doing right now because you can't see the camera. But right now I'm touching up Peyton Manning's head right now. And
Wow.
I mean, you can't miss it. I mean, it's so big, but I mean,
Wow.
hey, he's better than him already.
Indeed.
Wow. So Colts are going to Super Bowl. I don't even know what Super Bowl it is.
I don't know.
All right, we're dragging it on. Last words, boys.
All right, so let's move on to final words. Final words. So the draft, I'm going to go to the draft, talk about the draft one more time. Draft was good. Always fun to do it. It's always good whenever you're pre-ranked. Obviously, I'm pre-ranked number 1, but especially when you're pre-ranked even number 2, number 3, I think that's always turns out to be a good draft. Usually when you're number 1, number 2, or number 3, which we 3 are, you usually have depth. You usually have good starters. That mixes together well. Usually ends up very good at the end of the year if we don't trade, which we're not really big traders. We might trade if something happens, but I think for the draft's sake, we did really good. Game was really good today. Look forward to next Tuesday. Actually, it won't be next Tuesday. I have something going on, so we'll send out an update on when we go next. It'll be sometime next week. Go buy a T-shirt. Links in our Instagram and Facebook. Go do that. You'll see Jake on the screen right now. Jake is wearing that shirt. Yes, he has been frozen for however long this video has been going because it's not actually him, if you did not know that. It is just a picture of him. But he's wearing the shirt. Go get a shirt. $15, small to XL. 2X to 5X is $17. Go buy a shirt.
My goodness, so much for final words.
I know. I said recap though before the show.
Monologue.
I said recap.
Mike.
Final
Yeah, no,
essay.
you recapped all right.
Hey, I'm just so excited that I got 80% on my Are You Smarter Than the 5th Graders though.
Sure did. All right, for me, I just want to say final words. Colts are going to the Super Bowl, baby.
Wow, let's go!
Yep, they are confirmed.
All right.
That's an Ian Rappaport report.
Oh wow, rap sheet. Yep.
Rap sheet. My final words, I'm going to say, don't drop a penny off the Empire State Building. It could kill someone. Proven
That's
fact.
exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know that. Alrighty, so if you didn't learn anything from the school, Are You Smarter Than 5th Grade, you just learned something that you can't drop a penny off the Eiffel Tower. So that'll do it from CFTC HQ. We will be back next week, and we look forward to seeing you, and go buy a t-shirt. See ya. Peace.